Hey everyone, welcome to episode 15 of Formidable Opponents, a show that pits three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is best in a variety of fun, engaging, and critical topics we all debate around. I'm Randall, and with me as always, Bob and Joseph, and today's topic is best cover song. Before we get to that, I want to recognize our sponsor, Cerebro Digital LLC, a digital marketing firm based out of San Antonio. They have everything from website design, social media management, and graphic design, perfect for small businesses on a budget. Their specialty is helping those startup businesses. Cerebro Digital, a better, smarter, and more affordable way of marketing. Ask for Rico, he's your man. So today, guys, we are talking about best cover song. Before we get to that, how are you guys doing tonight? Both of you are on mute.
Oh shit, we're both on mute. So, yeah.
You can leave that in.
That's the question. That's the question, man.
All right, let's pretend none of this happened. How are you guys doing tonight, by the way, Bob and Joseph?
Doing great, man. Doing great. I'm always excited to talk music with you all and sit around and
We love music.
Yes, exactly. Pretty excited about tonight's episode.
Excellent.
Yes.
So today we're talking about the importance of cover songs. Before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about what makes a good cover song. And then, guys, you could join in on the conversation. Everyone enjoys music in multiple scopes. And although crafting, producing, and recording an original song is to be revered, covers allow artists to do something we all do with anything artistic around us. And that is to interpret. We don't all see things the same. That's essentially the premise of the show, right? What I might find good, you may see something that you feel is better. Cover songs allow us to express, relate, and translate. Just because you didn't write the lyrics and arrangements doesn't mean you don't have a personal bond to the piece. The artistry through performing a cover song is paying homage to the song's creation. It gives a song longevity, a whole new audience, and an appreciation of making something somebody created and owning it as a gift. Sometimes it's deeply personal. It's to celebrate, to mourn, to remember, to forget. And like the same lessons we've learned over and over from different people, be them parents, friends, exes, or through the lenses of our children, we are recipients of different opinions, different joys, different pain, and different lessons from different people. That's precisely what great cover songs provide. They teach you the same lesson, but through different people, different elucidations, bringing about something new each and every time, always with the freedom of interpretation, always with the focus of intentionality. Now, fellas, give me your thoughts on some great cover songs as a whole. Let's save the bad ones for another show. Sorry, Cheryl Curl, you're going to get shit on. And all the fat guys in Hawaiian shirts at bars fumbling through Santeria. Guys, I'm going to say this. Hopefully you didn't pick any American Idol performances, although shout outs to Ruben Studdard because he sang the shit out of the Carpenter Superstar. Not better than Sonic Youth's cover, though. But guys, what do y'all think makes a great cover song?
I honestly think if you're looking at a cover song, it's got to be up to par with the original, if not better. I love it when they change the arrangements, they change the chorus. You know, there's something different about that, about the new song, the covered song. If it delivers something differently, if it's slower paced, if it's more emotional, if it's more upbeat, it's got to offer you something different than the original. I feel if it's too similar, if it has too much of the same kind of beat, the same kind of mood, the same kind of tone, I don't really feel like it offers much to the listener.
I agree to an extent. I mean, I like a good cover song. Most of the time when you go out and about, you're going to hear a cover band. And as long as they can put on a good show, you're going to have a good time. As far as recording covers from like actual artists, I don't mind if it sounds very much the same as long as it sounds good. I do, like Bob mentioned, like to see, artists come out with something different, put the song out, interpret it in their own way, but to an extent. There's like, just bring to mind real quickly, there's a cover of Come As You Are that Bob showed me once, and I fucking hated it. It was this girl singing it, and she could sing, but it was the arrangement I just didn't like. So for me it's give and take. I do like when they take some liberties with the arrangement, but sometimes if you go too far from it and it just doesn't sound good to me, then I hate it, and that's what I feel.
I agree with that 100% too. Like I like when they change it, but it's either going to be a hit or miss. People are in love with the originals for a reason, or they're fans of the original song for a reason. So if you change it up too much, they may really love it because it's so different. It's such a cool, different take on the original song, or they may completely hate it because they're like, what the hell was that? What were they thinking?
Like Fergie's jazzy Star Spangled Banner was some bullshit.
That was totally different tone. I mean, everything.
Straight way.
She shit on a country. Yeah.
Oh shit.
That was some treason right there.
That's worse than what other people do.
I know you guys are big fans of going to bars and listening to artists interpret cover songs and do their cover. My experience, I used to book acts at a college, and I remember it was a job I didn't want, but I came up with an idea of saying, hey, we should have this lunchtime band thing, a brown bag lunch session. And so my boss was like, okay, well then go find the artist. And I didn't know anybody in that area, but I got to meet a lot of great artists, and there were several of them who they all played covers because that was the mandate. And there were several of them who really surprised me. And I heard some great covers. What about you guys? Some of your experiences at going to bars, and have you ever seen anything that just really, this was great and this person has so much talent?
Well, I mean, I can't give you a specific name off the top of my head, but I do know that, I mean, me and Joseph did frequent South by Southwest a lot in our heyday. And man, there were some bands out there that covered some songs that, Jesus Christ, total head turners. They made you want to stay in the bar all night and just to listen, jam out and listen to them. There's a lot of great talent and untapped talent around the globe, around the US, man. And we were fortunate enough to see a lot of those bands in Austin at South by Southwest.
That was back when South by Southwest was good. Now it's
they got a good lineup.
There's a pandemic. Well, sometimes, but lately the music scene, the music week's just been kind of crappy. Going out, I don't think we've ever actually been anywhere that we were just like, I can't wait for these guys to get off the stage so that we can hear the jukebox playing, because we would have already left. But I think a good, at least locally, a lot of these places do a good job of vetting at least a band and hearing how they sound before they let them go out. And so I've always had good experiences with local, I don't want to call them cover bands because that's not what they want to, I don't think they strive to do that, but it's what gets them to gig. And if they put out some awesome, cover, it's really cool. We've gone to, I think one of the best ones I heard was hearing a dude with an acoustic guitar and another dude with a bongo doing Summertime from Sublime. And they actually did good. I mean, Randy, they did good. It wasn't Caress Me Down, but it was,
It's Sublime is one of those bands everybody thinks they could emulate, and they've always come up short. You can't compare to, not even the guy who sings for Sublime now doesn't hold a candle to the original lead singer. Shout outs to him. So let's get to our honorable mentions. Bob, what are some of your honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut?
First off, Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. Big time cover song. Great song from the 90s. If you haven't heard our Best Heartbreak Song podcast, go ahead and go back and give that a listen. We talk about this song extensively and argue about it a lot. That's a great cover song.
Did Prince sing the original? I know he wrote it, but did he?
Prince wrote the original for his little small project, group project called The Family, and they originally sang it.
Okay, gotcha.
He wrote it. He produced it with The Family. Sinead O'Connor went and blew the fucking doors off that thing, and then of course seeing the fame, I guess, from it, Prince then recorded it himself, and then later on, of course, Chris Cornell gave his that gritty little performance of it. So it's a cool song too. That's seen a lot of different covers for it. Jeff Buckley covering Hallelujah over Leonard Cohen. Man, I mean,
that's a good one.
Version is extremely heartbreaking, man, and touching. Charles Bradley Changes this song. So Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, originally sang the song Changes. It's a fantastic song. I believe they recorded in like 72 or something like that. Well, Charles Bradley recently did it over I couldn't tell you, within the past, 4 or 5 years. Charles Bradley, this artist, did his own spin and take on it, man. And it's such a great cover and heartbreaking song. If you've never heard Charles Bradley, give him a listen. Check him out. Especially Changes, man. I mean, that song is just fucking fantastic.
It's really good.
One of the ones I definitely want to touch on, and this one I didn't think about until today, and man, I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit by not thinking about today. Mad World by Gary Jules, originally sung by Tears for Fears. The Gary Jules version of this song is just above and beyond better than the Tears for Fears
haunting
version, yeah, it's haunting. It's sad. It's delicate, man. It's a great version of that song, and he kind of makes it in his own. So those are the ones that really stood out to me. Of course, there's hundreds of really good cover songs, but these are the ones that really stood out that were up to past.
Excellent. What about you, Joseph? What are some of your honorable mentions?
Like Bob mentioned, man, there's way too many out there to mention. And but just real quickly, I mean, I had there's a few that I picked. I guess they weren't misses. I know of them, and some of them you do know them. One being Hey, Faith by Limp Bizkit. You can't really call it. I mean, it's a cover, but it's not a cover.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was big. It was huge. So in a way, you know, in a way, it took on its own life. Dancing Days by Stone Temple Pilots.
Great
Originally Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Great. I don't know if you've heard that cover, that, you know, version that they did.
It's a good song.
Scott Weiland. I mean, I miss that voice, man. I Don't Care Anymore by Hell Yeah. I remember that one for you, Randy, because I know you're big
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins
Hell
fan.
yeah, man. Yeah.
I don't know if you know who Hell Yeah is.
No.
I get to. Okay, well.
Hell no, but I'll listen to them.
Okay, well, they're a heavy band, but they did a cover of I Don't Care Anymore, and I thought it was really awesome. And just I mean, there's so many, and I wrote down so many more. Tantric did a cover of The Chain by I love that song, originally by Fleetwood Mac. I will say there's a cover of another Led Zeppelin song. I think if you're gonna do a Led Zeppelin cover, you got to do it right. And that's the SCP to Dancing Days good, and Tool does a version of
No Quarter.
Jeez, thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Bob knows, because I talk about this song, man. I talk about this version that Tool did of No Quarter like nonstop. It's awesome. But how about you, Remy?
Yeah, I have a few honorable mentions. I really enjoyed Urge Overkill's cover of Neil Diamond's Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. Just the way it's played over that scene in Pulp Fiction where Uma Thurman is kind of strumming along to it, and you're really capturing her. And I know part of that is the scene that makes it for me, but a great fucking cover. Nirvana's cover of David Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World, just one of the highlights of their MTV Unplugged. I like this. David Gray does a great cover of a deep cut by the Killers called Smile Like You Mean It. Well, I guess it's not deep cut. It was a pretty popular song. But if you want to check out a good cover of a Killer song, David Gray, Smile Like You Mean It, it does it for me all the time. Pearl Jam does a good cover of Comfortably Numb. And if you get through yes, they do.
No.
If you get through Eddie Vedder's sort of gruffness, I mean, the whole vision is there. I think they do it justice. One of the ones I wanted to talk about a little bit, and full disclosure, I changed my pick from this to what I now picked, and you guys gave me a ton of shit for it, but stay tuned because I'm going to defend what I think is the best cover song. Joe Cocker, A Little Help from My Friends. Perfect example. I'm not a big fan of the Beatles original song. I mean, they have Ringo Starr singing it. I'm not a fan of that song, but when Joe Cocker sings it, or when he sung it, I mean, just magic. He sang the hell out of this song. I mean, convulsions, twitches. John Belushi did it as a memorable cover of Joe Cocker's cover. It was the intro to the Wonder Years, and it reminds me of my dad's favorite dad joke. Anytime Joe Cocker, especially when any song Joe Cocker did, or Bruce Springsteen, or Bryan Adams, or anybody who strained when they sang, my dad's favorite joke was like, hey, is this guy taking a shit or is he singing? So, I mean, shout outs to my dad for that joke that he would say all the time. We have a few other listeners who gave us a few suggestions. These are really good, actually. An old friend, but new listener, Steve Flores. Welcome, Steve. Sent me his list. Check out these great covers. Guns N' Roses covering Bob Dylan's Knocking on Heaven's Door. Excellent cover. UB40's cover of Elvis's Can't Help Falling in Love, and Neil Diamond's Red Red Wine. Everybody covers Neil Diamond, improves his fucking music. The Fugees cover Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly. And then lastly, I'll mention listener Joe Michael. I don't know if he's serious about this guy. I've never heard Wrecking Ball by Dustin Kinser. I've never heard that. I don't know if he's fucking around, but he put it on our Instagram.
Yeah, hopefully he's joking. Joe Michael, come on, man. Tell us you're joking.
So with that, we're going to go on to our selections. And Bob, you're up to bat. Tell us who you picked and why.
All right, man. Well, there is a plethora. I'm just kidding. There is a ton of great cover songs. And like I said in the intro, I feel like a cover song should at least be up to par with the original, if not surpassing it. And I feel like the choice I made is far more than a cover song. I think the song takes on a life of its own and surpasses the original. I decided to go with the legendary Man in Black, Johnny Cash. I chose Hurt. The song was masterfully produced by the great Rick Rubin, and video was shot by Mark Romanek, who both, along with Johnny Cash, created quite possibly the saddest song and music video that's ever been recorded. The single and the music video came out as the health of Johnny Cash was on a serious decline. In the video, he looked like so fragile and broken. His voice was fading and weak, yet it was so incredibly powerful and moving. The production and lyrics sadly mirrored his own life and his inevitable decline. His version is filled with such pain, man, and regret and sadness, from the tone of his voice to that sad blank look in his eyes. It just makes for one of the greatest performances of his career, and possibly one of the best performances that I've ever seen. In comparison to the original now, which was written and sung by Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, I believe that the two songs tell two completely different stories. Reznor's version seeming to tell a story about drug addiction and depression and kind of like a life spiraling out of control, while Cash's version seems to show the life of an old man, looking back with a ton of regret, knowing that death is near or his life is coming to an end. I don't want to say that Cash's version is better than Reznor's, even though I really do in my heart believe so, but so totally because I think they're just two completely different songs. They're both powerful. They're both meaningful. They're both just a little different in their own ways. The thing about Johnny Cash's version, man, it just hits on so many different levels. And it's, like I said, it's a painful song to listen to, and it's a painful video and song to listen to while watching. It's one of those songs where nobody, if you didn't know that Trent Reznor wrote Hurt, nobody would be able to tell a difference, or nobody would be able to say that this isn't Johnny Cash's song, that Johnny Cash or this song wasn't written specifically for Cash in the closing moments of his life. It's just a touching song. It's so fucking good, man. There's no other way to put it. Talking to, and of course, they have interviewed Trent Reznor, and at the beginning, I think he was pretty lukewarm on the thought of Cash doing his song. He even heard the first version of it, and he was lukewarm on it. He didn't think much of it. But after seeing the video, I think Rick Rubin, they sent him the tape of the music video, and he was actually sitting in the studio with Zach, the lead singer for Rage Against the Machine, when he first saw the video, man. And he says that they were just both kind of left in awe, staring like teary-eyed, and they had to like step out of the studio and go get a cup of coffee to kind of like come down from it, I should say. Trent Reznor describes it as beautiful and just this great touching moment in music. He even goes so far as to say, like, this song isn't even mine anymore, it's his, which is so crazy, considering that Trent Reznor thought of this song, Hurt, as his most personal song that he's ever written. So it's kind of like a testament to how well Johnny Cash turned this song into something of his own and created such like this spectacular tone and this heartbreaking mood when you watch the video and you hear the song, man. I mean, just the build up at the end, the guitar and the piano seems to like build and build and build until it finally, he's short of breath and sings his last lyric and closes the piano lid. I mean, man, I just cannot say enough about this one. I don't believe there is another cover song that has the type of impact that this song had on the music industry. Even more haunting and crazy was the fact that months later, he loses his wife, June Carter. And then even a few months later after that, on September 2003, Johnny Cash passes away himself. So it's kind of like a meant to be kind of moment, the type of song like he was supposed to sing on his way out as his closing statement or as his closing song. So it's one of my favorites of all time. I think it's the best cover out there. It's probably the saddest and heartbreaking songs and videos that I've ever seen.
You've kind of pretty much said a lot of what I was going to say. You're right. If you didn't know who Nine Inch Nails was, you're absolutely right. You think it was a Johnny Cash song. It definitely takes on two different meanings depending on who's singing it or who's hearing it. Reznor has been quoted to saying that he was born to write this song and Johnny was born to sing it. You're right. He wrote the song about a young person getting into self-harm and drug addiction, and exactly, it paints a whole different picture when Johnny Cash sings it. I think the video and the song go hand in hand, and it's just this whole experience. If you've never seen the video and you just heard the song, I'm sure you'd feel it'd make you feel something pretty deep. When you watch the video and see it all together, it really makes you feel that part. And I know I'm talking about it like it's its own song. It's a cover song. You're right. That part, and in the video, what have I become? It's real heavy. The video, I remember seeing it, and you're right, June's in it, and specifically that line, what have I become? There's a part where the camera's on June, and she has this look. She's looking at Johnny, and she looks heartbroken. She sees like Johnny Cash singing about this song, and I guess she's heartbroken because he feels that way. You're right. Reznor says that when he saw the video and heard the song, he felt like it was losing a girlfriend, like because it wasn't his anymore. And exactly, it came out at a time when Cash knew, yes, he was at the end of his road, and you're right, it was a statement to go out on. Exactly, it's a great song. I am not in any way arguing that it's not maybe one of the best cover songs, but I guess the only thing I can say really is it Johnny Cash's best cover song. If you look at this particular album that this song came out on, the the American Four, The Man Comes Around. You look at that album, it's a lot of covers like Hurt, Bridge Over Troubled Water, I Hung My Head, Personal Jesus. I mean, they're all good songs. Yeah. they're all good songs. And this one, yes, it stands out above all of them. I guess I'd have to say, the I Hung My Head cover originally by Sting, that one kind of sticks out to me too. I was out one night at a local bar with a girl once, and she's the one that got away. The Great White Buffalo, and Great White Buffalo. Anyway, so we're at the bar and we're having a good time. We're having some drinks. Great White Buffalo. And we're having this good time, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what, they had like the radio on, and I Hung My Head from Johnny Cash comes on, and I'm like, why is this song coming on? And we're all drinking, and so I'm still drinking, and the song's playing, and the lyrics, if you hear it, if you know the song, I Hung My Head, it's very depressing. And so I was sitting there drinking out on a date, and I'm like, well, shit, now I'm depressed and I want to go home. How about you? So I guess for all it is I just, the only thing I can ask is it Johnny Cash's best cover song? Because he, with those American series, there were a lot of covers on it. But what about you, Randy?
Guys, way to bring the mood down, fellas. Jesus Christ, holy crap! I mean, you could have gone with Puff Daddy's "I'll Be Missing You." I mean, that would have been a little less depressing. But it's hard to argue this one. And when we first started talking, this is the one I was going to go with. Bob beat me to the punch. It is a good, I still think the one I picked is better, but I'm going to talk a little bit about Hurt by Johnny Cash. Trent Reznor praised, and it's hard to be more depressed than Trent Reznor. So the fact that Johnny Cash did that is an accomplishment in and of itself. Trent Reznor praised Cash's interpretation of this song for its sincerity and meaning. I have to read this whole quote. I was going to read a snippet, but this was just a beautiful compliment. I popped the video in, and wow, tears welling, silence, goosebumps. Wow. Just like I lost my girlfriend, because the song isn't mine anymore. It really made me think about how powerful music is as a medium, an art form. I wrote some words and music in my bedroom as a way of staying sane about a bleak and desperate place I was in, totally isolated and alone. Then that winds up reinterpreted by a music legend from a radically different era, genre, and still retains its sincerity and meaning. Different, but every bit as pure. Trent wrote this about drug addiction, as you mentioned, and Johnny sung it about life and death addiction and everything that encompasses it. Same exact lyrics, completely different interpretation. It's just so beautiful. I mean, it's the most Johnny Cashiest song ever, and the man didn't even write it or perform it first. It was like he was born, like you guys said, he was born to sing this song. When you marry a song to an artist, there are certain songs that you say, nobody can perform. When Doves Cry, like Prince, or Thriller, like Michael Jackson, or whatever, but nobody can perform this song like Johnny Cash. And it's not even his song. It wasn't made for him. Different genre, different era, different point of life, different everything. And he took it and he owned it. I remember the WWE when the first Raw after Eddie Guerrero's death, they played the song and they played some highlights of Eddie Guerrero. And it was so powerful. I was like, wow, this song was just, you could play it over anything that brings heartache and it'll just elicit even more of that. I will say this, anybody trying to cover this song after Johnny Cash's rendition, and I have heard a few covers, it's difficult. You can't play this song on a whim. You have to build up to it. I don't think anybody can. I mean, I like covers that can just be picked up and played, but that's just me. I think this song, you have to be in a feeling, in a zone. I don't think you could say, hey guys, check it out, I'm going to do, Hurt by Johnny Cash or Trent Reznor or whatever. It's a song you got to build up to, and that takes a talent. And I think Johnny Cash spent, I don't know how old he was when he performed it, 71 years building up for this song. And that's incredible. And my only argument, and this is what's going to fucking squash this as being, Kermit the Frog did a better cover, because I felt that shit. When he had Jim Henson's picture up there, Miss Piggy, when he was doing stuff I can't say on the show. Have y'all seen Kermit the Frog?
Yeah, dude. It's a hilarious version, dude. Hilarious version.
I hurt myself today.
No, we're not going to do that. Yeah, we're going to start something now. We're going to be doing that later.
Waiting for somebody to do the damn.
What's funny?
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just saying, I mean, if we're going to make it lighthearted, I guess what's funny now is I use this song for actual, like, doing things that I shouldn't be doing. Like, with that time we went and played golf, and I hadn't played golf like in 2 years. And after the round, I think I sent a text message to everybody with the meme of, I hurt myself today.
You were sore?
Because I was sore.
Oh, man. I got to say, man, it's one of those songs, and I like that we can laugh and be lighthearted about it. It's just one of those songs, man. It's one of those songs, like we mentioned, I know you had mentioned, was it his best cover song? I want to say it's one of his best songs, period. Whether it's written by him or whether it wasn't. When I think of Johnny Cash, I don't just think of Ring of Fire or Walk the Line. I think of Hurt. I think that's a song that connects with me on such a different level. So regardless of whether it's a cover song or whether it's his own personal song, I think it's one of his best ever. If not the best.
Yeah, no, I will say that as far as like cover songs go, there's only so many that you can hear, and like we've mentioned, that it's its own song. You would have no idea who Nine Inch Nails. If you don't know them, you're never gonna know them until somebody tells you. You probably, if you've heard this song and you're just somehow finding out right now that it was originally a Nine Inch Nails song, well then I understand that, because there's only so many songs like this. I think there's another one. I forgot to mention this one, and Willie Nelson did a cover of The Scientists, and I remember when I heard that one, I said, I mean, as powerful as that song is, when I heard Willie's version, I was like, it reminded me, I immediately thought of Cash singing Hurt. It was its own.
Yeah, its own animal, its
own
version. It was its own fucking song. Yeah,
I'm so glad he didn't cover Closer, because that would have been very morbid. From Nine Inch Nails. And kudos to, and you mentioned him earlier, Bob, Rick Rubin, because Rick Rubin is a genius. If you watch Rick Rubin, he's such a fascinating guy, and for him to have the foresight to say, yeah, Johnny Cash is country, Johnny Cash is your grandpa's music, but Johnny Cash can bring in the people of all ages, and this song will go on forever. But I mean, credit to Trent Reznor, of course, and Johnny Cash, but Rick Rubin for the behind the scenes, the production, the foresight, the insight. I mean, the man is just a mad genius.
Exactly. I mean, who would have thought of telling Johnny Cash at 71 years old, I want you to sing a Nine Inch Nails song, singing Hurt. Nobody in a million years would have connected the dots and make that fit. I mean, only Rick Rubin.
Because, and it's been done before, but to terrible, I think, who was it? Was it Paul Anka? I don't remember who the old crooner was. He sang some Metallica covers. Was it Paul Anka or Pat? I can't remember the name of the singer, but they were terrible. He did a whole album of Metallica covers, didn't go over very well. And so, I mean, this one nailed it right. They did it correctly. Excellent choice, Bob. Joseph, let's go to your selection.
Well, speaking of Metallica,
yeah,
I chose Turn the Page by Metallica. Okay, so there's like we mentioned in the beginning, there's many cover songs I could have gone with, a lot of cover songs that I like, and honestly, I really thought about going with I didn't mention it, mentioning it now, I really thought about going with Sweet Dreams by Marilyn Manson, because it's a good song.
That's a great song. Yeah.
I really, really like the song. It's from a genre of music that I really, really like the most, but I didn't want to, do a thing to argue for an individual who's had some serious allegations levied against him recently. So I'll just leave it at that. Metallica released their cover of Turn the Page back in November of 1998 from their Garage Inc. album. It was a collection of cover songs actually from a bunch of different artists. So it was basically a cover album. And this one was on it. It was their first single. It's originally by Bob Seger from his Back in 72 album. Seeger's album version is slightly different from the live version that we hear more often than not on local rock stations and satellite radio. I'm really not sure why. I've heard both versions. And if you haven't heard both, if you didn't know there was two versions, go check it out. I think the album version is better, but we mostly hear this live recording version anywhere you go, whether it's out and about. It's not hard to understand the subject matter. The song is about the emotional and social ups and downs of a rock musician's life on the road. I chose this song because it's a really good fucking song, and basically I wanted an excuse to talk about Metallica, one of my favorite bands, probably top three. Yeah. Anytime I can bring the metal to the show, I'm happy to do it. Maybe eventually we'll get into the more heavy stuff and get the growls going.
We will. I'll bring in a substitute for me on that show. Joe Michael, if you're listening, now's your chance to step up.
Lyrics are the lyrics of the song. As far as I know, are pretty much the same. Metallica's rendition is basically at the same tempo as Seeger's, except that it's on a much heavier tone. It's not super heavy considering Metallica, but if you're familiar with the original song and the original live recording that gets here, played, it's basically, I think, a keyboard, some light drums and cymbals, and a sweet, sexy sax sound. That saxophone, you gotta have it. The saxophone part is replaced by high guitar slides and kick-ass solos from Kirk Hammett, along with James Hetfield's grimy rhythm play and his grimy vocals. I love it. There is a music video, although the subject matter is more about the daily life of a single mother who is a stripper and sex worker instead of a musician. It received minor airplay back in the days because of its subject matter. I know MTV didn't really want to air it, and I understand why.
Great video.
It is.
They blurred everything out. So
if you watch the video and you didn't know the original, you would actually, I think that Metallica wrote this about a stripper / sex worker and not about being a band on the road, which is fine. It's still a kick-ass song. Most definitely. You can jam this song on the road for sure. I've done it plenty of times. I'll crank that thing up. I don't feel guilty about anything. I'll roll down the windows and make sure people can hear it. It's a really good song. You can play this song if you're up early in the morning at night for a jog. It does get you pumped up. I'm not gonna lie. It'll motivate you. The lyrics, "Here I am on the road again." You'll be out there running and hey, you might get like an extra mile in because this song came on all of a sudden. It could have gone. It actually could have gone on the list of best 90s rock songs, and that's my bad. One of our most popular episodes, by the way. So thank you, listeners. And for some reason, if you haven't checked it out, go check that one out. Best 90s rock song.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all over the world.
We are.
It's a great song. What's cool about this is it's even the casual hard rock fans can listen to this and dig it. My pops digs this song, and he's not really into Metallica or anything like that, but he digs this song. It's a really nice bridge from the classic 70s rock fan to the early 90s. Late 90s, early 2000s rock fan when this song came out. And above all, it's fucking Metallica. Metallica is the greatest band ever. And that's my argument. I don't need to say anything else. Give me food, give me fire, give me dabba jabba za, Go.
We'll definitely get into the debate of the greatest rock band ever at some point in time. But yeah, I could see that as being a great debate. Metallica, like you said, it's one of my favorite bands of all time. They've done so many great fucking songs and renditions of songs and different albums, and from being like bluesy hard rock to metal to whatever the hell No Leaf Clover was. They've done a lot of great songs, man, and I thought this version was a really great cover of Bob Seger's Turn the Page. It was missing that sexy saxophone. I gotta agree with that. It was missing that saxophone, but I think they did a fantastic job of their arrangement and their version. It was just more of it was that gritty hard rock version of something. Bob Seger's version, I guess it was a little more folksy rock, that type of thing. I love the original version. Bob Seger sings the shit out of that thing, man. It's a great song. I've had it on my playlist for years. And when Metallica covered it, I remember being so excited because, their version was such a great, they covered a badass song, one of my favorites, and Metallica is one of my favorite bands. So why wouldn't it work out? And I think it works extremely well. The only argument I could say I have against this song, it's just not significantly different enough from the original. Okay. It's a little more hard rock. It's a little more grit, but for the most part, they're extremely similar, man. I wouldn't say they're exactly the same, but they're far too similar for it to be the best cover of all time. I don't think it stands out more. Is it up to par with Bob Seger's version? For sure, for damn sure. Is it better than Bob Seger's version? That could be up for debate. I could see it going one way or the other, but I feel like they're just a little bit too similar to me for it to be called the best cover song.
I want to share one of my favorite Simpsons jokes, because this is a Bob Seger song. There's a scene in The Simpsons where Lisa is babysitting for Chief Wiggum. And so, he's going out with his wife and she says, "Have fun at the Bob Saget concert." He's like, "No, it's Bob Seger." And he looks at his ticket and it says Bob Saget. He's like, "Oh, damn it." So one of my favorite Simpsons jokes. And correction earlier, it was Pat Boone who did the Metallica covers, not Paul Anka.
Oh, no.
Yes, even worse, right? Another song that's better than the original. And I hadn't heard the song in a long time, Joseph. And when you selected it, I played it, and I must have played it 2 or 3 times. Great song, great energy in that song. Another unique interpretation, a great music video. You mentioned what the video's about, so hug your daughters, people. Great music video, just excellent. It's another heartbreaking interpretation. Man, you boys are in a dark place tonight. It's another heartbreaking interpretation, but I will say this: as good as the song is, and as just different, and you guys have both hit the mark on your selection. So bravo to both of you. They took a song, made it completely their own. When we see a lot of cover songs, a lot of people are trying to be very honest to the song because the song's already popular. So let's stay honest to the song, the chord, the way it's sung. Bands like Metallica, singers like Johnny Cash, they take the song, they get the best producers, and they pour their heart and soul into it like if it's their own. I think they do 2 things. They're paying homage to the creator, and they're saying, if this was us and we wrote this genius song that inspired us, how would we perform it? And that's what makes it so good. It's not my favorite Metallica cover. I like Whiskey in the Jar and Last Caress. I think those 2 covers are superior, especially Last Caress. Oh my God, it's an amazing song.
Did you say Careless Whisper?
That too.
It's funny you mentioned that because we there like I said earlier, it's hard to find a song like what Johnny Cash did with Hurt, and so I went in another route to find I wanted to pick a rock song. I did, and I went with one of my favorite bands, and then I went with this album, and I looked at this album. They have a lot of great songs on this album. Their cover of Tuesday's Gone is awesome. I love it.
That is another good one. Forgot about that one.
The cover
John
of
Popper.
Yeah, John Popper's on that. The cover they did of Sabracadabra and It's Electric. They're awesome. It's a great fucking album. I went with this one because it was. Like I said with the video, you're right, Bob. It is pretty on par with the original, aside from the heavy guitars and the vocals. But the visual helped me out when I made the decision, because I put you got to have both. You're not gonna hear, at least back in the days, the songs we're talking about, they had music videos. So I can hear the song. You can go see the video now. YouTube's everywhere. And so when I saw the video and I heard the song again, it did stand out to me, because I was like, you know what? The video went with the song. And like I mentioned too, kind of, they can both go the same way. It's originally about musicians, but the way that at least that Metallica did the video, you'd think that the song was actually about, because the lines of the songs, it being out on Here I Am, up on the road again, out on stage. I mean, that's a stripper, so it worked. And that's why I went with it.
Yeah, I could see how their own, especially with the music. I think the music video kind of ties everything together into their own personal interpretation of the song. And it's a great version, man. I think it's a great fucking song. I wouldn't say it was one of Metallica's best songs, but it's a great fucking song, and it's a great cover song, and it's really hard to argue against. And like I said, at this point, it's kind of all nitpicking, trying to nitpick and try to pick something that we could argue against with the song. I just thought it was just a little too similar to the original.
Because we all make good picks, man. We're pretty.
Wait.
I'm not done with Metallica.
I forgot about that.
Normally. Now I'm going to ask you guys this. You guys been to a Metallica concert recently. They've been through counseling. They're sobered up. They still rock out, obviously. Is this a staple of their do they do a lot from the Garage Inc., right? What's the name of the band?
Yeah, it was Garage Inc. was the name of the album.
Yeah. Do they do a lot of songs from that album?
Not now. I know probably when the album came out, they did. I did read a little tidbit that maybe I think there's like 3 or 4 songs, or 4 to 5 from the album that have never been performed live. And I don't remember the list right now. I don't
Is
have
one
it
of
in front of me,
is one of
so-
them Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba? No.
You know what? If they
Taylor
wanted
Swift.
to do it, I they can do it.
I get knocked down now.
But I'm it up again.
I think, I don't even want to go further into that.
Please.
We're fucking worse than Pat Boone at this point. At this, and you bring up a good point. I don't mind when James hams it up in this song. He gets a lot of oohs and yahs, but he has that line, when the sweat pours down your body. And I mean, it fits in. It's so good, man. I enjoy.
Man, when you're running, it pumps you up.
It
Sweat
pumps me
pours
up.
down your body.
Great picks. I'm going with mine, and oh my gosh, I know you guys are going to give me a lot of shit. Now we're done. Now we're done complimenting. I went with Chumbawamba's Tub Thump. No. I went with Whitney Houston. I Will Always Love You. Changing the tone completely.
Oh yeah,
hey, it's my turn. All right,
Go ahead.
All right. What inspired this memory? I was on Instagram and some kid was playing baseball. He was a high school baseball player, and like most baseball teams, they let the players select their walk-up music to the plate. And I don't know what his walk-up music was. It was probably like Walk by Pantera or something cool, maybe something by AC/DC or something even more recent. But his parents asked the announcer to change up the song, and they changed up the song to I Will Always Love You. So when he went up to bat, they played that song, and he looks up in the stands like, you motherfucker, but I listened to it. I was like, that's it. That's the song. So I had to look it up. Over 1 billion YouTube views on this video, originally written and performed by another icon, Dolly Parton. It was written in 1974 as a farewell to her former business partner and mentor, Porter Wagner. See, I could get down a little bit too. Parton's version of I Will Always Love You was a commercial success. It reached #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart twice. Whitney Houston recorded her own version of the song for the 1992 film The Bodyguard with the wonderful Kevin Costner. Her single
dreamy.
Something happened between them. Her single spent a then record-breaking 14 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and is one of the best-selling singles of all time. It also holds the record for being the best-selling single by a woman in music history. Houston's version of I Will Always Love You re-entered the charts in 2012 after her sad death, making it the second single ever to reach top 3 in Billboard Hot 100 in separate chart run. Kudos to Kevin Costner. Whitney Houston originally wanted to cover Jimmy Ruffin's What Becomes of the Broken Hearted, which is a fantastic song too. I'm sure she would have done it justice as the lead single from The Bodyguard. However, after she found out the song had been used just 1 year earlier in Fried Green Tomatoes, Costner suggested she record Dolly Parton's country hit instead. And what a call that was made. Dolly Parton's version was tremendous, but it was very much a country ballad. Whitney Houston's cover is out of this world. She combines pop, soul, vocal range, crossover. She broke ground with this cover. In an interview with a UK magazine, Q, Dolly Parton said she was blown away by Whitney's version. She said, the way she took that simple song of mine and made it such a mighty thing, it almost became her song. The Bodyguard soundtrack is the best-selling movie soundtrack of all time. And it ain't because Queen of the Night. Everybody wanted this song. Now, can you guys say the cover songs you selected are the artist's signature hit? I'd say Johnny Cash is known more for Folsom Prison Blues, I Walk the Line, and Ring of Fire. I would say Metallica is better known for Enter Sandman, Master of Puppets, or One. If you ask most people to name Whitney Houston's song, most people are going to answer I Will Always Love You. And remember, she's had a bunch of hits. I Want to Dance with Somebody, Saving All My Love for You, Didn't We Almost Have It All? The Greatest Love of All, which was covered by Sexual Chocolate, but Sexual Chocolate. They play so fine, don't you agree? So Whitney Houston,
That boy good.
I mean, how can you argue this song? It's different. I know why you guys are going to argue it, because it's different. It's not Cuddy. It's not Edge. It's not. But how can you argue this song?
Go ahead, Joseph. I'll let you respond first, buddy.
Okay. So, Jim. So I really don't like this song, and that's my argument enough. That's argument enough. I don't need to say anything else. No, you're right. Originally by Dolly Parton, as the farewell to her business partner. As far as I can tell, the lyrics are pretty much the same, if not exactly the same. And from what I read, she got her inspiration from the version. She got her inspiration to record her version after listening to the Linda Ronstadt cover.
Okay.
So she's not the first person to cover this song. I know it's pretty much now. Not my first or my last. So I know she got the inspiration from and Costner's actually played the Linda Ronstadt version for her. I'm not biased towards either. I don't like any version of the song. Dolly's voice, it can get annoying at times if you have to hear it long enough. And yes, I'm not necessarily a country music fan, and we know this. And you know what? I'm sorry, I don't make people listen to the music I listen to. So I'm,
yes, you do. Yes, you do. On road trips,
all the time. Your story started off with, I was playing this song for Bob.
So I mean, Dolly's voice, I know it's iconic in its own way, but that high pitched dog or it's going to get annoying after all. I believe, that where Dolly's version is this emotional goodbye. I mean, this serious event that happened to her and this personal event. Houston's is for a movie. She did it for a movie. She was praised for bringing all the emotion to the song, like you mentioned, mixing the pop soul, whatever. I believe there's a section, if I remember correctly, when I heard it, most recently today, there's a section where she's like kind of like breaking down, so
there's a sax solo too.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, you know what, Whitney Houston was a better actor than I thought, because while she's breaking down, she's doing her job to sell this movie. So I don't see it as like, it's like how Bob's pick, where Johnny Cash was like, he sang that song. I mean, it was actually kind of in his own way, it was a note to the world, like, I know I'm at the end. Where Whitney Houston just covered this song. I know, again, I'm not a fan of the song, and I'm not really a fan of Whitney Houston's music in general. I know she's got this amazing voice. I know she can sing. I know this stuff. I'm not oblivious. I know supposedly there's an unwritten rule in TV shows like American Idol and The Voice that you're not supposed to touch Mariah Carey songs or Whitney Houston songs because of their voices, and I understand that. But now with this song, anytime that I really hear it, until like most recently when we were talking about what we were going to do, the last time I've really ever heard this song, it's a punchline. You hear it in a lot of movies and TV shows for comedic effect. Most recently, in Spider-Man Far From Home, there's like a little in memoriam segment. If you haven't seen the Avengers movies and all that shit, I really don't care. I'm spoiling it for you. So there's an in memoriam segment where pictures of like Iron Man and Black Widow and Vision are playing, and this song is playing in the background at a local school news telecast. So it's kind of funny. There's a episode of The Simpsons. It's funny you mentioned them earlier. I got them here too. Where it's called Pork and Burns, and there's this scene where Homer's reunited with this pig that's the focus of the episode, and this song is used. The one that's really made me laugh is the movie This Is the End. Have you guys seen this movie?
Good movie.
That part at the end when Jay's being raptured up and Seth holds on to him so that they can both go up together, but the beam starts to like falter, and Seth decides to sacrifice himself so that Jay can go to great scene. He looks up and you hear, and I'm gonna let go, Jay. it's comedic effects, so yeah, I mean, that's what I hear now when I think of this song. I think of all the funny times that I've heard it into a movie, and that's what I guess, I don't think I shat on your pick too much, but
I think you did, Bob.
I think you did.
Before you answer, Bob, I want to ask you this, Bob. And there is obviously a lot of emotion behind this. And Kevin Costner, as we know, a lot of girls fell in love with him. I think he even did something with Cal Ripken Jr.'s wife. I mean, there's a lot of Kevin Costner stories out there. Bob, you can't tell me that Whitney Houston wasn't singing this about Kevin Costner. There was some love. Truly, she saw Kevin Costner. She's like, Bobby Brown is taking me down this path, but Kevin Costner can
be my bodyguard. It's so ironic that you said that, because that was part of my argument, man.
Go ahead.
First off, let me just say that to say that Dolly Parton's version, or Dolly Parton, I mean, she sang the shit out of the song, man, as well as Whitney Houston. Now, here's my biggest gripe with Whitney Houston's "And I Will Always Love You." It's theatrical, man. it's too goddamn theatrical. Yes, she was an actress at this point in time, and maybe that had a lot to do with her version and of the song, her cover of the song. But it's way overdone. It's way over dramatic. The song hits every high note, every run, and yes, of course, we're to believe that she's in love with Kevin Costner, right? I mean, she has to be. Who the fuck is she going to be in love with? Bobby Brown? I mean, the king of rocks and blunts, like Jamie Foxx said. Her version is just it's all theatrics, man. I know that I mentioned Johnny Cash hurt the video and the song tied together. Joseph mentioned Turn the Page, by Metallica, the video and the song tied together. Have you seen Whitney Houston's And I Will Always Love You? Half the song she's singing with her fucking eyes closed, and she's being ultra dramatic. There's no feeling there. There's no mood. There's no tone. There's no love there. It seems like she's singing to herself in the fucking mirror. There's no, I don't get anything from it, man. And I think that's why Kevin Costner left her ass. I
think he might have been married, but
yeah, it's part of the joke. I just feel like it's more of a song that shows off her talent rather than like creating that feeling of love. I mean, the song itself is about love, and it's about maybe a little bit about heartbreak, like we said in Dolly Parton's version or her interpretation. But there's no feeling there. I didn't get anything out of the video, and we weren't like, I thought it was funny that you chose it, but a lot of people think of this as one of the best cover songs that's ever been made. But there's just no feeling. There's no mood, man. And that's the one thing that really, really bothers me about it. Even Dolly gives a little there's a little tenderness and a slight little emotion, especially when I saw one of her performances of it where she kind of whispers and talks a little bit and through the middle of the song, and you feel something out of it. She may not have sang the song as well as Whitney Houston, who can, but I just didn't feel anything from Whitney Houston's song. I just didn't. That's one thing. There was a disconnect there, and I think that if you go back, listen to the song and watch the video, you'll kind of get what I'm saying.
And it's funny that you guys mentioned this. I think the difference in the three selections, I think, Bob, with yours, it was the end for Johnny Cash. It was the farewell. Metallica already hit their apex, I think. And Whitney Houston, this was her apex. Once Whitney Houston sang this song, she was the queen of the world. She movies, music. She made some bad personal decisions, and I think she robbed herself, or she was robbed of decades of more to come. And I think that's why it hit me a little deeper than some of the other picks, because this was like the star maker. I mean, she was already a star, but she went to another level, kind of like Celine Dion when she did the Titanic song. This was the apex for Whitney Houston, where it wasn't the apex for Metallica. It wasn't the apex for Johnny Cash. And that's why I think this was so powerful, and in correlation to heartbreaking too.
Yeah. And I want to go back on, I can see that point. I want to touch on a different point that you said. I know you had said wasn't Metallica's best song, and you think of something else when it comes to Johnny Cash. How many fucking singles and hits did Johnny Cash have? How many singles and hits has Metallica had over the years? You're talking about Whitney Houston. There was a small little sample of her music. Yeah, she had I Want to Dance with Somebody, and she had I Will Always Love You, and maybe there was 2 other big hits, but that's 4 fucking songs, and you're choosing one that stood out above the 4 fucking songs, which I could see. Like I said, the only problem I have with it is nothing wrong with her or her version. It's just all over the top and theatrical, and I think her acting in a movie at that specific point in time actually hurt her version of the song. It could have been so much more. It could have been a little more heartfelt, a little more delicate, and it seems real like over the top and showy.
No, I wanted to ask, how do you feel about the fact that, okay, yes, they're all cover songs.
Beautiful, no matter what they say.
they're all cover songs that we're talking about here. But the way you describe this song is that it's the apex for Whitney Houston. Rest in peace, by the way. I'm probably gonna get, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything. Anyway, rest in peace. She was a tremendous voice. I understand it. I wasn't necessarily a fan. But do you think this one's different? I guess because although Dolly said those nice things, do you think maybe she harbored some animal? This to me, this is like somebody that writes an awesome song and that they take it to the record company or whatnot, and they're like, oh no, it kind of sucks, and then somebody else does it, and it's like, but I wrote that song, like this. Do you think there was
You know, that's an interesting point. Obviously, I can't answer for Dolly Parton, but she's made, because they have such an esoteric relationship with the song and with what it embodies. I think she's made mention of, like, as long as the checks keep coming, because, you know, she's banking royally with every time a comedian uses a song, every time a movie, you know, parodies a song, Dolly Parton's seeing dollar signs.
Yeah.
You know, so I think she's okay with it. I think she genuinely felt that Whitney Houston owned this song, and she's made mention of it several times. I think they interviewed Dolly Parton a few times after Whitney Houston's death. And I don't know. I honestly think there's some bias there, and I'm just putting it out there for you guys. Yeah, it's cool to like Johnny Cash. It's cool to like Metallica. It's not cool to like Whitney Houston. I get it. But I do think it was the best just because of what it sold, what it meant, and the tie-ins. Like I said, tie into a movie, tie into the biggest star of that time, Kevin Costner, tie into the biggest leap of her career, tie into the biggest money. She had everything going for her except her personal relationship. And I think that was the downfall. And that was my opinion of that.
Yeah, I got you, man. And like I say, there's, I mean, like you said, 2 billion views, or what was it, like that? Something like that. 2 billion views for the music video. I mean, Two Girls, One Cup did about the same. So, you know, we can't always go on views. But again, I know I sound like a fucking broken record here, but she was just too, I mean, over the top. And it was cool to like that song and to sing that song. It was so popular, but I think it was more because that movie was so popular, and Kevin Costner was like at the height of his popularity. I think he had just done Robin Hood, which is this huge box office hit. So, you know, there was a lot of factors there, I think, that played into this specific song.
I will say that, you know, I bet, you know, the thing that you have going for you, Randy, with this pick is that I'm pretty sure that there was people that you know, were fans of her music and probably heard the song before they saw the movie, found out, you know, hey, it's a song for the movie. And then maybe, you know, and then they went to go see the movie. I'm sure it definitely helped. And I guess that's kind of the big issue with it is like, I don't know. I'm more like, well, it was for the movie. It was to sell the movie, and not so much that like with you know, with Bob's pick and my pick, where it was you know, Cash at the end of his life, where it's Metallica experiencing these things, you know, the ups and downs of the road at being a touring band. They tour relentlessly. So I mean, yeah, I mean, that's a big that issue stands out to me, I guess, mostly because it was for the movie.
I heaped so much praise on y'all's picks, and this is how you do me. But
hey, you always be my bodyguard, you know that.
And you know, a couple of last things about these three picks. I guess it's no coincidence, but it is pretty odd that there's death involved in all these three picks. Johnny Cash, Whitney Houston, the death of Lars's integrity after some kind of monster. But death is prevalent and prominent in a lot of these picks, and I think that's what we revere when people choose these artists who are no longer here and do covers, and that's what a good cover song is paying homage a lot. Last word on cover songs, guys. Anything that comes to your mind, whether it's a personal experience or something you want to share before we go off?
I've heard some pretty good, you know, as far as cover songs go, I just want to say everybody go out there and listen to obviously go out there and listen to these songs. For some reason you haven't heard them. I really like a lot of these new fusion style covers that I've been hearing. There's this girl, I can't remember the artist's name right now. She did this really awesome fusion version of Everlong and Bobby Caldwell's I Guess You Wonder Where that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that on YouTube. It's really awesome. So I love to hear these things, and it speaks to like what we talked about when you kind of make it something your own. Go check that out if you can find it. Just type in on YouTube Bobby Caldwell Foo Fighters and go out there and look for it. It's great mashup.
The great thing about covers is nowadays everybody has YouTube. You know, you can upload a video and you can put yourself out there and put your own version of a song out there, not only to gain some kind of popularity, but for most of these artists, just so people can hear you, people can give you a listen. There is so many fucking great artists out there that are just putting these fantastic renditions of songs, popular songs, older songs, and they're bringing them into a new light and bringing them into a new audience. And it's such a great thing that we have these days. You know, the pandemic really sheltered everyone in, but it also brought out a lot of artists, and they were able to focus on their art and put it out there for people to listen to. And there's a lot of great shit out there, man. You just got to go out there and find it. There's a ton on YouTube.
Yeah.
One thing I miss a lot, guys, is live music. And I think I speak for all three of us is going back and just anywhere, whether it's a bar or, just an intimate place, just to listen to live music again and listen to those covers, because something about being with your friends, drinking and just listening to good music is just perfect. And I think that's why cover songs are very endearing, because they remind us of some of the greatest times of our lives and just being and bonding around each other. And it's a great thing.
I miss you, man.
I miss you too. I'll be down there. By the way, if you guys don't know, we do this over Zoom. A lot of people think we're in the same room, but we're not.
We got to we definitely got to do like we had talked about, maybe do a live show somewhere, do a live meet and greet with some of our any of our listeners that are willing to go, maybe meet up with us somewhere, have a beer and just talk nostalgia, talk 80s music, 90s music, anything pop culture. I think that could be pretty cool.
Hey Joseph, your brother does some good covers I've seen on Facebook. Could I mention Rogues and Renegades?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
There's a band. It's headlined by Joseph's brother Jaime, Rogues and Renegades, and Jaime does some great covers. He did Mellon Collins' No Cigar, which if you're a Tony Hawk fan, he does a pretty good that song. He does a pretty good cover of it. So Joseph's got some talent that he gets to listen to in his brother. So check out Rogues and Renegades. You could find them on YouTube, Joseph? And
so there's some stuff on YouTube. There's look for them on Instagram, Rogues and Renegades, Facebook. I don't think they have a Twitter or anything like that. But yeah, they want to do do their originals, but Jaime himself, he'll just for fun. And it's fun when he does that. Yeah. When he does it.
He's good. So check him out. Rogues and Renegades. The lead singer is Joseph's brother, Jaime. That's our show. Listeners, we'd like to hear from you. What is your favorite cover song? What cover songs did we not mention? Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. Follow us on Twitter at FOpponent and on Instagram at formidable_opponent. Join us next week, and we'd like to hear your selections for this upcoming week. Best movie fight scene. We're going to cover best movie fight scene next week. It's going to be a great one. So for Bob and Joseph, this is Randall. We'll see you all next week.
Kiss my ass!